6. Is that, we all?
I took the this report and streaming of it too.
Down for the league.
But there. Right?
Whenever you're ready.
All right. Hello. Hi, Anna.
Thank you.
I need a lot of help there. Good morning. Let's call the meeting to order. First order of business is to announce the next meeting of this commission, which is Tuesday. It's Tuesday, April 22nd at 8:30 a.m. in this room. With that, could we swear in staff? Do you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. And with that, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Mr. Whitman,
Here.
Ms. Maniaci. Here. Ms. Brown. Here. Mr. Loversige.
Here.
And Mr. Pongolis.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, very
Oh,
good.
wait. Oh, sorry, Trudy, I'm sorry. I marked off, so I didn't put her here. Ms. Gordon. Here. We extra have a quorum. No. Please stay.
And Stephanie, could you do the overview of the hearing format, please?
Certainly. First, city staff will present the staff report and the submitted application materials. Then we will have our applicant come up and sit at the presenter table. They will be sworn in and then asked to present any additional materials. If we have any registered speakers, they will then approach the podium, be sworn in, be provided 3 minutes each to speak. And then lastly, the commissioners will discuss the case and ask any questions if need be.
Very good. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, please?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Okay, questions, comments, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. I guess there are no, we do have continuing applications, is that correct? New applications.
We don't
Okay,
have any continued applications, just new applications today.
I guess in a way, some of these we've seen before, but let's go ahead then with the cases, please, Stephanie.
Okay. The first case is application COA 2500183 for 4 East Broad Street, which is located at the northeast corner of Broad Streets. The applicant is seeking commission approval to relocate the Planters Peanuts projecting sign further down the south facade from the previous commission approved location from October. The projecting sign is internally illuminated and will be installed using mast arms and an existing structural steel column. The sign is 12 feet from grade and is 12 feet tall by 8.5 feet wide. The applicant was last before the commission at the October 2024 hearing, where the commissioners approved the sign's relocation to the existing facade 4 feet higher up. Submitted materials include sign renderings, sign details, and mounting information. Included in the packet are the previously approved application materials from the October hearing as well. The downtown design guidelines recommend that iconic signs be preserved and maintained, and that projecting signs are preferred in the downtown district and should be proportional to the building with a minimum of 10 foot between grade and bottom of the sign. The proposal is consistent with the downtown design. As stated, you have seen similar material before. This is the same sign, they're just proposing a different location. So you can see here are all the specifications for the sign, the power details shown here, and then the mounting details. And here are the previous materials if you'd like to go through those. Otherwise, that is the staff report.
Very good. And we have someone here for the applicant. Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Hi, my name's Rebecca Green, and I'm working here with Columbus Sign.
Would you raise your right hand? You swear to affirm the testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This is a historic sign that's been in at least 3 different locations within the downtown area in Columbus. The shop itself was first established in the 30s and has had 5 locations in downtown Columbus. Initially, we were here in October, asking to place the sign on the east side of this building, but now we are hoping to place it on the west corner of this building. It's a little lower, but still 12 feet from grade. So that is, we're just asking to move the location from the east to the west.
Okay, very good. Any questions from the commission? Comments?
Great.
I just have one comment.
Yes,
More like a question.
yes.
So that is lower. I'm wondering if there's any concern, I wouldn't know, if because it's lower and because it's a lay sign, because of traffic. Is there any concern that there would be glare at night from the sign for vehicles, or is that not?
I don't know that there will be substantial glare. It's, I guess I don't know the answer. I'm sorry?
How far from the curb is it?
Oh, that's an excellent
It's
question.
on the building, right?
It's on the building 12 feet up. So I guess I feel like there wouldn't be a lot of glare since
Or
it's high.
It's a wide sidewalk there.
That's probably, 10 maybe. It's 8.5-foot sign, but I'm sure that sidewalk is much wider
That's
than the sign.
Okay. Other questions, comments?
I move approval.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second, please? Okay. Questions, comments? Anything from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes. That's not.
Next, yes,
The next application is COA 25-0016 for 96 North Fourth Street. It is located along Fourth Street at the corner of Fourth Street and East Elm Street. The applicant is seeking commission approval to install 2 internally illuminated wall signs and 1 internally illuminated canopy sign. The signs consist of channel letters mounted to a raceway at the roof span, a logo mounted on a 1/8-inch aluminum backer, and channel letters mounted to a raceway above the entry canopy. The roof band and arched canopy are to be painted light blue. The signage at the roof band is to be 23 feet from grade. The channel letters at the canopy are to be 8 feet from grade, and the logo sign is to be 6 feet from grade. Staff notes, previous building signage left exposed mortar joints at the building's southwest corner. This area is to be patched up and painted. Submitted materials include a site plan, existing building photos, sign details, mounting and illumination information, and paint check. The downtown design guidelines state that buildings should not be dominated by graphics. Crowded or cluttered graphic arrangements should be avoided. The guidelines also state that logos identifying the primary business may be integrated as an accent within signs. Lastly, the guidelines state that signs may be externally or internally illuminated, but should be designed in such a way to minimize light spillage onto adjacent properties. The proposal is consistent with the downtown design. Here are the materials submitted. You can see the existing condition photos, and then this is the proposal. So they're proposing to paint this roof band blue, and then these would be the channel letters here. Here's that logo sign, and then here is that roof canopy that's also painted blue, and there's a sign going across the top. Here's the site plan showing the location of all that signage from the 4th Street elevation of the building. Here's the detail for the logo sign, including the mounts of the power supply. This is that signage that's going to park over the canopy at the door. And then this is the signage that larger signage across the top. And here's detail on the channel letters and how they will be mounted to the raceway and to the building. And then here, some additional information. Here's that damage that was referred to that will be repaired in the previous set of signage. And that concludes the staff report.
Okay, and the applicants are with us. Could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Sure. Debbie Fossick. Susan Needballa.
And you folks are with the owner of the building, your
Yes.
designers? Could you tell us-
I own the sign company.
The
That,
sign company.
Yep, and
And I'm the owner's broker.
The owner's
I'm
worker,
her real estate broker.
broker?
Yes.
Okay. Could you raise your right hands? Do Do you swear to affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and so say I do?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. First, I've got a real quick question. I see 3 or 4 red patches on there. Are those proposed signs, or are those just explaining what is?
That's just showing you height.
These are dimensions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Questions or comments from the commission? Or what, sorry, I beg your pardon. Why don't you folks tell us what you want to do?
So basically, we want to put the channel letters across the top. Those will be on a raceway. And the whole business name is Central Outreach Wellness Center. But it's such a long name that we decided to, shorten it up, put it on the left side, and then put the whole name over the entrance. And then the logo is representative of what the establishment does. They work with the LGBTQ community, and it is an outreach program. So it is very well known for that logo.
Any other comments on the?
No, we're central out of Pennsylvania. Our headquarters is Pennsylvania, and we actually operate out of 12 locations. We do have a smaller location on West Broad Street, which is in a rental property, and we plan on keeping that as well.
All right, questions or comments from the?
Is there a sign? Put another sign up with, sure.
There is an address sign. You can't see it. It is underneath the overhang, kind of back by the doors.
It's on glass. It says, it has the
Yeah, it's-
address on it.
Vinyl, basically a vinyl decal.
Other comments, questions?
But a couple of comments, so, and the questions.
Okay.
So most of the clients coming by foot, or are they driving in to Riverside?
Both. We have actually leased the parking lot next to the building for our patients to park in free.
One question I have is, I like the sign that's over the curved canopy. I think it's very attractive, but it looks, at least here from the rendering, a little small. And I wonder if somebody is walking on foot, the other sign is so high up, if it would be hard for somebody, walking on the street to really identify.
Well, when we were on site, we walked down the street and looked up to see how far you could see that central outreach while you're walking up the street, and it is very visible. So I mean, I think it's fine. Again, the logo is really representative of the business. So, and that's pretty big. You can't really miss that.
And then to my mind, and maybe it's just the way it looks in this drawing, the blue is so bright and dominates the building so much. I was wondering if you would, if you have a sample of the.
We do. Yes.
I think that was also in the, sorry.
It looks brighter in the
Pittsburgh,
photo.
so I'm like bag lady.
Looks brighter in the photo.
What's that? It is brighter.
Now, this sample has a texture to it. This would not have a texture. Can I take it up to me?
It's a little bit darker than what you're seeing up there. It's hard to show it on a rendering as opposed to an actual paint color.
I actually think it looked better. If the blue went away, just put the letters there, the name of the thing. Glass, is that an option?
The reason that we added the blue is because it adds contrast for the letters. So the letters are white and against the pale, it wouldn't show up real well.
And we do have blue, we do have blue facades
other-
in our
other
other
locations.
locations. So that's pretty much generally part of our.
Yeah, part of the
package.
marketing.
Part of our package.
What if, could you consider, maybe you have the band that's one tier lower?
Uh-huh.
And put the blue and central outreach on that lower band, and then keeping the top band just the natural color.
Well, the lower band is, that's actually a pharmacy drive-through.
We have a drive-through pharmacy.
So we're gonna have to actually put
Exit only.
exit onlys, at least on those pillars there, because we don't want people pulling in. You enter from the back and pull through. So, that's why we opted to do it on the upper,
Is it possible to put the white letters on it, on just kind of a blue band that, kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you show them Cleveland? I can show you what we did in Cleveland. Do you have photos of that?
I don't, you may.
I may. I don't
Um,
know.
we could put a backer like we're doing with the logo, and just square it out.
I mean, does anybody else feel that? Down in the area here,
Yes, I do.
that's my reaction.
But I think so part of the branding. So-
It is part of our branding.
Look blue.
What if
Say, put it in boxes,
What if the
all
central
the way around.
outreach side was over the logo, so all the branding was on the right side of the building? So the blue in the central outreach was over the logo, the rest of that existing stone band or whatever it is just natural and coloring,
It's not stone, it's a metal.
It's,
whatever.
Yeah, it's metal. I don't think that's going to look well, but that's my opinion.
Are you coloring that because it's finished?
It's not in the greatest of shapes, and I think painting it will make it look nicer. I'm just gonna have greater curb appeal. What we could do is, choose a little bit, lighter of a blue, if that's, if you,
you're planning, that's not a metal cap, that's paint. You will
that's
it.
paint.
We'll paint
Yeah,
it.
we're painting it. And the paint goes, across the front, and then also on the side of the building, we're gonna paint the side of the building as well. So it'll be a band the whole way.
Just
kind of-
two sides.
Yeah, just two sides. So it'll be also in the parking lot side.
I know it's.
Yes, correct.
And that's the very depth of the building on the side.
Yes, yeah.
Do we have a picture? of
So
that?
it's like a finishing. I don't, because I didn't think I would need it. So it's basically a finishing on the building.
Okay, what do people want to do? What's the thought? Maybe commission? There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? It's a second. Comments, questions, anything from the audience?
Another question, the large circular logo, that will be illuminated, right?
It will be.
At night.
There are certain lumens that we use so that it won't be, obstructive to traffic or have any impact on any kind of like traffic coming by.
And you
So,
can explain how the little guy, at night, he turns white. And the
Yeah.
white turns black, so
yeah,
you
it's
just
called
see the
day-night.
color. You
Yeah.
just do the,
So.
no, it would,
Is the person will be white and the rest will be dark.
and the color band, just the color.
Just the colors will pop out. Yeah, the white is not lit at all. That actually houses all the electric wiring for each component.
That's good.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments from anybody? Anything from the audience? There is a motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're all
Thank you.
invited to the opening.
Now
We
we get
just
to
don't know
drive
when.
back, now we get to drive back to Pittsburgh.
You've made our doctor very happy.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's like under this table.
Next question.
For that one, have to clarify that the motion by Mr. Loverson, seconded by Ms. Barley, in one opposition.
I voted no.
Just want to make sure we got it. On to the next.
And I am going to recuse myself.
And before you sit down, swear you met. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And can you give your names and affiliation
Sure.
to Becky?
Melinda Shaw, Schoolie Caldwell. Brooke Minto, Columbus Museum of Art.
Our next application is COA 25-00176 for 480 East Broad Street. This is the art museum here in town. 480 East Broad Street is located on the north side of East Broad Street between North 9th Street and North Washington Avenue. The applicant is seeking commission approval to replace the membrane portion of the roof like for like, and then the standing seam metal portion of the roof with copper roofing. The submission includes existing condition photos, a roof plan, elevations, historic imagery, and drawings, as well as material specifications for the proposed roofing materials. The downtown design guidelines recommend the conservation and rehabilitation of contributing buildings, as well as the use of high-quality materials. Staff notes that while the applicant is changing the main roofing material, historic documentation has been provided to show that the original roof was copper. The proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Here are the materials that were submitted by the applicant. Here's the site plan. The roof area that we were talking about. Here is the existing roof. This is showing where the new copper roof will be, and then the membrane portions of that roof. Here's an elevation, south elevation, west elevation, and then here is one of the historical photos, and then here is the current photo. Here are the specifications. This is the specification for the membrane roof, and then you have the standing seam copper. Additional specification provided. We have some other historic photographs here. And then this is off a little bit, but this is the original drawing, and you can see that a copper was specified originally. So this is a photo of that original copper portion. Before it was replaced with the stainless steel metal. This is the just specification for the copper. Yeah, so that concludes our staff report.
Okay, thank you. So you can present.
Sure. So the Columbus Museum of Art has had a metal roof on it for a long time. The original skylights were actually removed very early in the process, or in the life of the building. It's had its existing metal roof since, best we can tell, early 70s. It is at the end of its lifespan, as well as the membrane is at the end of its lifespan. So the museum is looking at putting on a new roof that is a long-term investment, obviously, to protect all the art inside the building, and would like to switch it to a copper roof, as that is a more historically appropriate to this building, as well will be a longer lasting roof than what has been on there previously. So
That's great.
we're really excited about it. Yeah. So.
Anything else you'd like to mention about?
I mean, the other thing to note is, so there is some existing historic skylight underneath. At this point, it does not make sense to try and open that back up. It has leaked for years. There's a reason it was covered over so early. The current plan on how to put the new roof on will leave that skylight in place. So if sometime in the future that can be restored, that would still be a possibility. Part of the reason, it leaks right now, it's single pane glass. Over the years, mechanical systems and electrical systems and everything were put in the interstitial space. So putting back the skylight at this time is not really practical. Plus, it would make it very hard to keep the building conditioned to the requirements that are needed in an art museum. So this seems like the most appropriate solution for it.
If anybody have any projects or questions?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just had a couple of really quick things. So, the spacing of the standing seams, I'm just curious, is that in the industry, is that just a standard, or are you trying to meet the original spacing of the original?
So we're trying to keep it close to what the original roof was, at least based on the drawings. We don't know exactly what it was, so it'll be close.
And then does this have to go to the HRC because it's a smart building?
It's not on the city registry, so.
Any comments or questions from the audience? So are we ready to make a motion? So, okay, and a second. All those in favor? Aye. And again, just opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
I just like Diana. That's four. Hey, Mark, you're talking to city. It's on.
Okay, shall we go on to the next case then?
You're gonna swear them in first or to accept?
Why don't you go ahead and
Yes.
we'll swear you in a minute.
Okay.
This is a COA 25-00182 for 145 South Front Street, which is located at the northwest corner of South Front Street and West Town Street. The applicant is seeking commission approval to renovate the existing office, building that will include the repair and replacement of exterior elements to rehabilitate the building per the submitted drawings. 92 apartment units on floors 3 through 7. Noted that the penthouse units will have private decks on the rooftop. Office and other tenant spaces on the first and second floor, as well as the rooftop. There will be below and at grade parking on the basement and ground floor levels. There will be outdoor amenities, including new decks on the first floor with a new egress stair down to Civic Center Drive and a rooftop pool lounge. There will also be new landscaping along all sides of the building. Staff notes that this is a historic tax credit rehabilitation project. As such, the exterior, first floor, circulation floors, and historic interior elements will be preserved and restored per the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. Submitted materials include site plan, floor plans, elevations, sections, landscaping plans, and material specifications. The guidelines state that the building owners are encouraged to conserve and rehabilitate contributing buildings. In addition, should be complementary and not detract from the building's essential character. Contemporary design and materials are appropriate, but should be compatible with the scale and proportion of the building. Landscaping that enhances the project and the use of high-quality materials are also encouraged. And additionally, private curb cuts are not generally supported in the downtown. In summary, the proposal is generally consistent with the downtown side guidelines, with the exception of the new curb cut. Staff notes that a lighting plan, more details of the replacement windows have been provided. It will be required prior to the issuance of a certificate of approval for the project. Further, minimal information regarding the outdoor dining elements and publicly accessible open spaces have been provided. That actually has been modified since the staff report was written. The applicant has uploaded some additional material regarding the exterior lighting and landscaping in those publicly accessible and seating areas. We do not yet have the actual specification for the replacement windows, so we will want to discuss that with that. But here are the materials they submitted. This is the overall site plan. This is a little about landscaping here. And those open spaces. Those renderings. And then here are the architectural drawings, details of the site plan, and you can see this curb cut is existing to the parking lot, and I believe this is the new curb cut that's being proposed. Here is the landscaping plan. It's scheduled to turn here. We can zoom in when that's necessary. The details on the plantings, and then also there's some details here about pavers and the railing has been selected. Here is the parking detail in the basement, and then here's that ground floor level. And this is the first floor plan. This means it's dimension rooms here. Second floor plan, and then on 3 through 6, where you start to get into apartments. And then here is the penthouse floor plan 7, and then here is the penthouse floor plan. Here this is about amenity space, the pool, those decks. We have the elevations. The details on some of those exterior modifications. Section. And renderings. The material specifications. Lighting, blue screen, fencing.
Is this lighting in, is this what's newly added as of today?
Those sheets at the beginning, we're showing the landscaping, those were the new materials. These have been there. These are just the specs for fixtures and the materials. Lighting. It's the storefront specification. That is. And then we're to our applicant, I think this for our applicants, all I think the board is interested, they've seen this previously, but just walking through the design and then any substantive changes since the last review.
First of all,
Okay,
I'm keeping this for the. Okay.
Morgan, can you identify your name for the record, please?
Hi, I'm Diane Thompson from Sandvik Architects.
Brad DeHaze with Connect Real Estate.
You raise your right hands. Do you swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And so say I do.
I do.
I do.
Real quick here, I don't understand where we are on this process-wise. So you're asking for a final approval today, right? Is that correct?
We have with the landscape, the timing of the landscape lighting, I think that we would be okay pushing it off to another meeting if need be. I think we initially thought that we'd be able to get the landscape lighting and some of those things uploaded faster. So the requirement for final approval.
We don't care to come back.
Okay.
But I'd rather have you do that.
The big issue with us is the curb cut and some of the site plan elements,
Okay.
which are
And then
mostly
the other
remain
item
unchanged.
that I heard about is windows, okay?
Mhm.
And so I don't know how the way you give the approval for that, the certificate of approval. You don't have a window issue done. What's your status on that?
We have 2 submittals into the Park Service. We're just waiting on their opinion.
You're waiting on that, so you know what you want to do.
Mhm.
What's the good of it? So that it's just 2 companies or 2 designs.
You go ahead.
And that being one or the other, or this?
It's 2 companies. Same like for like.
The other?
Yeah, it's to match what's there.
It's
It doesn't look just like it's there.
yeah, the depth and the reveal of the frame is within a quarter of an inch. So it's
It'll be the same finish, the same.
Correct.
correct.
Aluminum, and then if I read this right, it's an aluminum window with a stainless steel sill.
Sill. Yeah, and the sill is
Still is existing.
existing and remaining.
The sill will be, okay, so it's 50 aluminum.
One of the 2 window vendors has a like kind product to an anodized aluminum, so it's, visibly similar, but it's not anodized. That's the Pella window. I don't think they did.
That's meaning, what's the color of the door? Are they aluminum?
They are.
But even if it were, what an anodized would mean that it would still be aluminum look.
Correct, clear.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what we do today here for you. I'll tell you what, let's go through the application, okay?
You kind of walk us through the design. with the changes.
We have seen this before.
Right.
But it's been some time. So why don't we kind of just start off and go through it, and then
Okay.
we can come to grips with, you know, any issues that might come up.
I think one of the big changes since you saw it last time was the north deck, which is not circled on this plan, which is, yes, right there.
Was
But-
that not there?
It had the pool down there before.
Yeah.
It was a big deck and pool area before.
Yeah, previously we had the deck extending out further to the north with the pool element on that deck, and the park service, we went round and round for about a year, and they kept pushing it closer to the building, and eventually the shading of the sun put where they wanted the pool was entirely in the shade all day. So they, yeah, I mean, they were very creative in how they killed it. And then so then, you know, we started looking at other options, and the rooftop element for visibility purposes from the street, primary and secondary facades, it's non-impactful to the historic look of the building. And that was where the change came, and it came with a penthouse addition then on top to service that pool.
So the pool will be on top of it?
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, why don't you, so this is the site plan. I couldn't read it very well. Maybe we didn't get it. Did we get the plan list, for example, or the details on the, I see this is really almost like an elevation.
Brad, when we have the site plan up, can you just talk about the curb cut a little bit? What the two different curb cuts access? I wasn't here when you came in the first time.
Yeah, so there's two levels of parking, and they don't intercommunicate, so there's no interior ramps. There's really not enough space with the column spacing to introduce an interior ramp. So historically, they have, the ramp goes down to the bottom of the two parking levels. And then the level above it was not parking at some point. So they had access for storage and things like that. But the Civic Center Drive access is what we came for originally a few years ago.
That's an existing curb cut.
That is not an existing curb cut.
Okay.
The one up to the north is existing.
Yep.
That's the existing.
Correct. The top one is existing, and then the one that the cursor is on right now is the proposed new one. Yep.
Question about that. You know, of course, ideally, it's not the greatest thing to create a curb, an extra curb cut, but it's like we don't have a choice because of the fact that the levels don't connect. But I'm wondering with as we have treated, if with, let's say, pavers or something interesting, that it could almost look, you know, decorative, or that it is some type of decorative element, you know, just maybe I'm not trying to say in a louder to, you know, to a local point, but just maybe something where you're using some materials where it has more of a look that it's a design element, as opposed to just, oh, this is a utilitarian curb cut here that's disrupting the pedestrian experience.
I agree. I think the balance on our end is the predominant office institutional use of the building previously with the Park Service is where they want to see it, you know, very straight line. So the existing doorway right there with those elements, we do have approval to widen that opening. And then the width of the cut is about where the marble is on the right and left. And then it flares out from there to the street.
So when you have the marble curb, and you the marble curb up to the new entrance.
Do you have the curb details on the plan? I think it flares on angles, so I think.
Yeah, I think it.
Well, what's your proposed
So we're-
material for the sidewalk and for the drive in the building? What are you showing?
In the plan, it shows concrete as going into the building.
And will that sidewalk, what is it right now? Will this remain what it is, or are you redoing sidewalks?
I think they already have the planners, so that we are going to be replacing the areas that were interrupted.
And the sidewalk along there is concrete then. So-
Correct,
So in
yeah.
other words, if it's a continuum.
Mhm.
So if we need to just like
It would
that,
be, yeah.
It's gonna,
and it's
Exact-
concrete.
Correct. So I mean, where the marble currently goes straight in perpendicular to the face of the building, I would want to keep that marble and I would want to maintain that flare where a curve starts and replace that with marble. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to keep the look as
I
similar
think
as
that's the
possible.
way to handle it. Okay. And then would you have a kind of just a plain opening like that and kind of almost utilitarian?
Yes, the Park Service wants that,
To look like that?
yes.
Yeah, the garage door is slightly recessed.
And you drive it kind of level, right?
Mhm.
There's no ramp there.
Right.
Correct.
it's Level.
Do you see on this drawing here, like I'm thinking like where you have the sidewalk and then where there's the interruption, then maybe where, that entry is, there's an opportunity to do something with the paving,
Mhm.
maybe pavers or something so that it looks like a continuous.
Yes. Sidewalk.
Well, except that the sidewalk is concrete.
Right,
So if we're going to continue.
saying that maybe, I'm just saying that I just thought that maybe there could be something like pavers that are the same color or something, where there's a sense that it continues. So that there's not such a being lumpy. Now there's this break and there's just this driveway
Mhm.
that it gives some type of continuation to it or visual cue that is continuous on it, that it's a
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to something. The only issue is when you have concrete on both sides and then concrete around it. I almost need to look at maybe what's across the street if there are pavers or, I mean,
the easiest thing might be to say, what can we do to neutralize it? Or
Mhm.
be less impactful to the eye? I think the trick that I would use would be grab whatever the sidewalk pattern and texture looks like, make that sidewalk go across the apron. I don't think you need to, I wouldn't draw much attention to it with a bunch of fancy materials or anything, just make it look like the sidewalk continues. That way it's sort of a quieter approach, not completely dissimilar to that.
Okay.
Right there.
I see they have the marble that goes across at the edge of the street there. We could do something.
But the marble, so I mean, the one thing you might want to do is that people are walking along here, you want to have conflict with the driveway. I wonder if you could just put a flat, flush
Hmm.
piece of granite that went in, that ran up to the pieces of granite that are there now that you're going to widen, used to widen, except they'd be flush and then the concrete in between. So
Yeah.
at least you would see that as you get there, there's a break and that is the back.
Yeah, no, I like,
All the way.
I like that detail and I kind of like if you see where if you see where the handicap dimple pad is on the top side there, you can sort of see that there's a piece of granite that continues at ground level. I think that's, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
We can incorporate that.
I think if we look at the other building, and this one too, these wide sidewalks that go into the building, and they, this are the sidewalk material. I think that's I don't think it should be asphalt or anything, it should be all concrete. It's gorgeous, just like, it's a little white.
Yep.
Well, thank you. Okay, does that work for you folks?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's keep moving on things. What else do we have to address? The whole issue of the curb cut. I mean, does anybody have a problem with the issue of the curb cut?
Does the city have a problem?
I do.
They didn't the first time round, and then we got a response from Brandon at Traffic that email last week that said, due to the pivot, I need to take a look at this. There was no pivot. I'm not sure. We asked for more information, haven't got anything back. Those elements have remained unchanged, so I'm not sure. I really don't know what he's referencing.
Make a comment about that. That's a long strip of frontage.
Mhm.
For what it's worth. And I was thinking last night after I read through this. Wasn't totally bored. I think it was lying in bed thinking about curb cut. I was trying to remember, I was trying to think of a building building that does not have some form of curb cut. I mean, sometimes on the older buildings, at least they got a loading area in the back, which is effectively, I can call that a curb cut. I mean, you can't park there. And so, I'm not sure I know why that's in our guidelines. I think it should be kind of carefully done and thought, and you don't want too many. But this is this is kind of a classic example of why you would do two. I mean, you've got two levels of parking. There's
I think it's in our guidelines, just so that we don't start willy-nilly tearing up the streets. I mean, most of our streets have all the curb cuts they need.
Yeah.
But this is a long street.
Yes.
Yeah.
It absolutely, it's not inconsistent with what's going on. Okay, and so we've seen this kind of, I like your layout here in the back. Is there no access to the building, to the deck area there?
There is,
This corner?
yeah.
No, we're not previously, we're adding access.
Where is it? I don't see how you get through the fence.
Well, I think we're talking about two different things. Are you saying the north deck?
Corner
They're
there,
talking-
radius is.
This is the west deck.
Right, so there's a sidewalk right there where people are standing on that goes right next to it, up to the stairs.
Right. And he's saying he can't see the stairs through the trees.
Where's the, oh, that's a sidewalk to get up to the. Okay.
There's two, so are you able, is there another rendering? You can see there we go.
There we go.
Looks like the corner.
Yeah, on the back side of the vertical planning structure is access to the staircase that goes up to the deck on that side.
And the sidewalk is over to the left in this drawing?
Correct. It's just past the end of the rail. There's an access point to the right.
Since you're looking at the
I thought there was, we'll take it out. It's not shown over there.
sign around the building where there's accessibility and how, how the entrances work in terms of what's private space and what's public space.
So along Front Street, there are two entrances, and those are handicap accessible.
This is a good floor plan right here. So-
Right, so up at the top is Front Street. And those, right, and that historic lobby is accessible,
Yeah.
and that's a public entrance as well as private resident entrance. And so those elevators are going to be fob controlled. So the public can't get on the private residence floors. But the spaces on that first floor are public slash.
So, yeah, so we have a tenant for the first two floors that will be announced, here very soon. We have their floor plan completely built out. So these are the egress points of their floor plan. So the bottom right will be a restaurant cafe. And it's a group that has 5 different locations. And but they also have an entertainment kind of drive side that you could see on the other image. And that is their access from the restaurant area right there. And then on the left side is from their large event space to access the elevated deck that's on the north side.
Wait a minute, so how are they gonna get in? Do they come in through the front door? on the
They do.
street side?
They do. They come in the front door on the Front Street side or
Through the building to get to the southwest corner.
correct. And then they also can access through the patio at the bottom where that staircase is.
Mhm.
They can access there via sidewalk off of the Civic Center Drive Street. So that would not be the ADA access at that level. The ADA access would be correct.
Where's
That
the,
would be good.
where's the different sauce?
It is, it's actually in the void space. If you look where the elevator core is, there's a big empty room just down to the
Yeah, there's a big
The-
central shaft
that
area.
large area, right? up a little bit, that is the kitchen. So there,
There sure is outside of the building.
no, we have to take all of it. The good thing is that shaft is existing all the way up. We've gone through and we did all of the demolition of all of the mechanical elements. We took out over 450,000 pounds of steel and everything out of out of the rooftop. So I don't know if you've seen the crane over there for the last 4 or 5 months, but that's all cleared out now. So that shaft is existing. We do have to get creative, a little bit on the top side to go around the pool and some of those elements, but yeah, everything is, by design is concealed from the street.
Any other questions about the first floor? I think let's just walk through this thing, and I'm gonna suggest we take a look. It sounds like the rooftop is kind of a bit of a new element. We could maybe walk through that design element. Anything else while we're here on the first floor, or ground floor, access or anything? Anybody have any issues with, let's say, curb cut? He's gonna have to work out on his own with the traffic people, but if we don't have a problem, I think we can say we don't have a problem. We can prove it from our end. And then obviously you are stuck with what you come up, you work out with the historic people. And, so, they in effect would override what we say, but we can still render our opinion here, for whatever that's worth.
Yep.
So if every,
I really like that, and I really like the other ideas. I really like your idea of kind of handling the curb cut. Just really nice and clean and simple, but looks like it's part of the.
and those two curb cuts ought to look the same. They ought to kind of be, the same material going in like that.
That makes
We get
sense.
something
Yeah,
out of it.
I agree.
Okay, Okay, go ahead.
Before we move on, and it's more just a kind of curiosity, because, the building's a historic building. When you're choosing the railings, or you're choosing the outdoor site furnishings and all the design elements that you're choosing, especially the ones that you have some creative freedom with, you don't have to keep the, what is it, secretary timeline. What is your philosophy? Are you thinking, whatever I'm choosing, I want it to just sort of recede and be minimalist and let the building be the focal point, or are you trying to match, let's say, the era, or are you trying to take a more constructive approach? I'm just curious. This is such an interesting project. I'm just wondering, what your design philosophy is on those finishes. Where you can have the flexibility.
So personal preference, I like juxtaposition. So I typically try to push the Park Service wherever I can, that without infringing on the primary facade. So I like the landscaping, vertical elements, things like that. And this is an institutional building, so the Park Service does not like that. So that's where we're going to head.
Not like an institutional building.
They do no, they love institutional buildings. They would love it to keep it an institutional building, even beyond when institutional buildings have a purpose in society. So what we had to do is, since it's a historic, the entire site is historic. We got all of those buildings on the National Register. That was part of it as a historic district. There was applications that were there from the 60s that I think were never, or the 80s that were never, they didn't follow through. So that was the first step that we had to do. Once we did that, so now the site is deemed a historic site. So all of the architectural elements all the way out to the street are part of it. So that's where we're using a lot of the ornamental grasses and things like that. So we have layers, but we don't have a lot of radical colors and things that would not align. So like you see in our drawing, it is a little bit, it's layered, but it's a lot of evergreen type elements. So that's around the perimeter of the building. So we maintain the focus on the building. As we get to our elements that are not visible as visible from the street, and like planters that are not permanent, like on the elevated decks, that's where we have more vertical trees and things like that. So I think you're going to see that it is not, the landscaping design is not made by design to be, awe striking. It really is to create layers and to accent the building. Once you get onto the north deck, we do have planters, and the designer for the tenant that we have there has their elements that are going to create some attractive components. But
Do you mean north deck or west?
this is the north deck here. So they have planters that they will have as part of their design on their large planters that then are not part of the Park Services review, but they're just trees and elements like that I think will create a little bit more of a wrapped feel. Yes, yes.
Great.
And then we're introducing some of that then up on the roof also. So
Okay. Can we move on to the roof? Everybody ready to move to the roof? Okay. Walk us through the roof thing. And when you say you've got balconies, where are they actually on the rooftop, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So
So it's nothing that extends.
I guess the easiest thing is if you see those fins that stick out on the right and the left. So that's the north where you're at right now, and then the south are on the right side. So that is the level, that the step back level of the building that you see from the street.
Are those existing, this one?
Those
Yeah.
are, yeah. So we're keeping those. So behind those are going to be units. So that will be glass where the fins are.
Mhm.
And that'll be the inside of a unit at that level. And then everything that we're looking at on the design is going to be on top of that level. So all of this is on top of that level.
When I looked at this drawing, I was a little confused. When you see the fins, which I guess you're looking below.
Uh-huh.
But what is, so then you see these small squares that I think they say deck. And then these doors, what is that? Is that on the same level as the pool?
Yes.
It is. And it's on the same level as the pool, and it's out. This is a great image here to look at. Are we able to zoom in at the top?
Are you building, is that a new structure that you're building it on top?
It is. So the very top above that,
Show us where the existing line of the existing building. I think it's right above the dash line, right?
the dash
Right
line.
where the blue arrow is.
And that's the
Yeah.
top of the,
Is that okay?
yeah, white edge, they actually help us out there.
So this is all existing. So these kind of exposed aggregate panels are all existing, all of this. From the street, you only see about that much because of the angle.
Okay, so the white stuff goes to the, where your finger is down below, right? No, right there, the marble.
The
Right
marble
there.
goes to here,
Yeah.
and then this is existing on top, but this is 18 feet. So but from the angles from the street, you really can't see.
I see.
You're just seeing the top of it. So where we're going to put units in that level, you're cutting these doorways and patios in that you won't be able to see from street level. You will be able to see from aerial looking down, as you look at the riverscape.
And the parapet wall will be above the floor.
Correct, there's an existing parapet right here
Okay.
that we're putting a glass rail that is stepped back. So the glass rail, I think is it 5 feet back? Does that sound right? 3 feet back?
Yeah.
It will be taller than the parapet wall.
It will be taller than the parapet wall. But the fact that it's stepped back is.
You probably won't be able to see it.
Right.
First, back.
So on the right and left, the decks, and then the gray areas, those are stairwells down until the units.
That's.
So the stairs aren't showing.
You'll walk from the unit up to your deck.
Right,
So are the units 2-story?
correct.
The top floor is 2-story. We able to go back to that other image that showed it up front with the different, there we go. So, but all of this is new. This is stepped very back to, it's like a horseshoe where it's open. Street. So these are the decks that we were talking about. So these are the stairwell enclosures.
And you walk up from what unit? The one that's right below?
You walk up from this unit here.
Well, that's also, but that's 18 feet tall, right?
Right.
So will you have an apartment unit that's got an 18-foot ceiling in it, or whatever that turns out to be?
Yes.
And then you walk up the 18 feet height of the unit to get to your deck,
Right
right?
to the deck.
And on the second floor of these is just the deck, like there's no other room up there? or is-
Correct.
So this is just, there's there to get to their private deck on the rooftop, and that's all out facing, so it doesn't face the pool. That all faces out. So then that allows the pool area to function, you know, as on its own with the interior space here, the interior lounge. So
And-
it's flat,
So, and the pool is oriented to the south, right?
To the west,
be to the west, right? So that this would be
to the river.
So,
this is the street,
okay.
and this is the river, right?
And you can get sunshine because the building section behind it is on,
Correct. This is the only obstruction.
and that's a wall along there to close the decks, right?
It is. This is actually a structure around here,
Yeah.
here, and here. So these are the staircases to come up. To access their private.
Oh, and
decks.
the wall is not, stops before it gets to the deck then?
Correct.
Okay.
So this is a structure.
Yeah.
That carries the individual staircases, the townhomes. This is a structure that carries the individual staircases. Each one accesses their private deck. And then that also, the back side of that wall then provides obviously a wall for the pool side. So the sun. is
Yeah.
Shading, I mean, shade.
What's the height of that deck area?
The structure, I think it's 9 feet.
Oh, okay, so, yeah. Okay.
Explain, I know you probably explained it and I probably didn't understand it, but where you have the fence and of course you have the view on the north and the south, and then you have the units, what do you see, like if you're in one of those three units, do you see, the fence, in other words, are the fence part of your window system?
Correct, so the window, glass, is the height of the back here.
I think we have a floor plan of that.
How wide are how far apart is the spacing between the fence?
It's less than 2 feet.
Yeah,
So those are kind of,
if you zoom in on that, you can see little small windows between the fence.
Yeah, so floor to 9 feet will be glass, and then above it will be wall.
So each unit will have a large, height, and then we'll have a window, and then you'll have beds.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it'll feel like a large glass wall, just like that, but where your mullions are will be fins that project.
how
out.
wide are the fence?
They're about 2 feet width in between each.
How about the fence themselves?
The depth is probably 18 inches,
And how wide?
4 inches,
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe 6.
maybe 6.
Yeah,
Where do they made it?
precast concrete.
Is there any concern, like, depending on the time of day, how the sun hits, that the fence would somehow obstruct the sun?
But that level, we kind of hope it does, there's a lot of glass. So as you know, a lot of times we'll do that anyway to that sun shading goes to where, yes, you have visibility without baking out from the sun. But we'll have interior blinds, similar to what we have here.
Facing north to the back, so.
Yeah.
Correct. The north side won't have an issue at all.
Is a south fence, but
Mhm.
Okay, other questions then for regarding the area? Now, I'm just curious, that's, wow. You've
It's a
got
lot.
a garage that you went in and it's not used as a parking garage, and now you're gonna be able to park in there. And then up here, you've got a structure that can support a swimming pool, which is obviously a lot of weight. This is building made out of, that's supposed to be a,
Steel. So we weighed every item that came out of there that as we demolished it. So that way we made sure that the seismic load would be able to support the pool structure. So every piece of equipment, every bit of aggregate, we had a scale down there and they weighed it. We have weight tickets for it. So no, I mean, the great thing is that it's an institutional building, so the live load per square foot is between 140 and 180 per square foot for the historic building. We only need, and what is it that we need? It was like 120 at most for our assembly use or something like that. So we had more than enough to add to add the pool structure. We have to beef up some of the steel on the top floor just to support the pool. It's a stainless steel pool that they bring in sections and weld it together. But no, we're past all of the can we, and now in the should we, and now it's a different level of permission that we need
Now
now.
you gotta come over here and talk us into it.
Exactly, yeah.
Where are we on this, guys? Any other questions or thoughts on this proposal?
On the southwest corner, it looks like you have, a railing, you know, like a screening or fence. Could you?
You mean on the top or way down on the bottom?
No.
Mhm.
What is that?
Yeah, that was town and civic center.
Right down by the sidewalk.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you could explain what that,
That was a cable rail fence. I believe it's on the landscaping plan, a detail of it.
that will be left.
Yes. And then all the upper level is glass and it would be clear anodized. So we don't plan to introduce black on the upper levels for the raised decks or the rooftop. That'll just be clear anodized and glass. But at street level, at that level, kind of across the street and everything, you have a lot of, black metal that's introduced kind of all across there. So we felt that being that far from the building, that made more sense. Mhm.
Okay,
What about signage?
We haven't designed it yet. We proposed something a year and a half ago to the Park Service and they were lukewarm about it. So we will come back for signage. I mean, and we're at a point now where the amount of design work that went into this and engineering, it was very intricate. We're at a path now to where we're, really confident we can move this thing forward in the immediate term. But some of the elements that are still out there with the Park Service, final window approval, signage that hasn't been proposed yet. I think that'll come with the tenant that we put in.
Okay.
We won't be putting any signage up like high in the building or anything.
And how about lighting? We talked about lighting. Is this all included in the package of what you're gonna do?
I believe so. The landscape lighting was in there, correct?
Is there any building lighting?
The building lighting that I included, there's some historic locations that they had that are indicated on that plan by L1 and L2 that we would reuse. But that's as far as we've gotten for
I
lighting.
mean, so I'm trying to get to what we were to approve. What do you want us to do? Do you want us to approve this so that you can?
E-plan is our big issue right now. The E-plan with the city getting through traffic. So, I mean, as far as some of the exterior elements, we're not starting that construction right now on the building anyway, but
What do you mean? E-plan?
the E-plan is for traffic and the curb cut. So that was the big thing for us, is to get approval on those, the access to Civic Center Drive, the curb cut, some of those
We'll
elements.
approve that today. What's everybody want to do? Do you put something with details or do you want them to come back? Let's suppose we could approve a curb cut today.
Mhm.
Or, consider let's say the site plan.
Mhm. That'd be
You-
ideal.
You want to come back with some of these details then?
Yeah, we absolutely come back with the other details.
What do people think about that? Does that work?
What is it that we can't approve? I mean,
Well, we got windows.
I'm sorry, but they know what they're gonna do with windows. And
Yeah.
windows are gonna get approved by Washington, just like the ones that are there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's something I think they can send in to staff.
Yes, I would agree with that. Okay,
Okay,
so
so allows to approve the building.
the entire thing.
And
Is everybody comfortable with the entire?
I support it.
I am too, actually. I think it says
I think it's great.
well put together.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Um, What's the construction material just on the penthouse section, rooftop?
On the step back, on the,
New stuff.
on the step back section. So we have a metal that is on the step back that is nondescript panels that are like a stone color.
Okay, well then, can we have a motion to, if everybody feels comfortable, you wanted to have a motion to approve?
Okay, one question,
Hang on just a second
of
here.
course.
I think what we ought to do is get it on the table. Is there a second? Okay, Sonia, thank you. Now it's on the table. Now, go ahead.
Just wanted to ask you, the original, pavement or the original ramp that goes down to the original parking, is that existing concrete that is remaining? Is that? Because you have the new deck that cantilevers out a bit,
That's,
and you know, that might be
that's a great, that's a,
you, so I'm just wondering if you thought of, you know, the treatment of that or.
I would love nothing more than to replace all of it. The only issue with that is we're limited as to how much of the solid surface that we can replace. Due to on-site stormwater detention and some of those items. So it throws us into something different with our E-plan. So there are all of the broken concrete will all be cut out and all replaced. But on the ramp, the existing concrete that is not destroyed will remain. And it's just, we're limited by the amount of square feet that we can remove, being just because there's not any kind of on-site stormwater detention.
Okay, other questions? Anything else? Any other comments? Anything from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, now, yes, what we're gonna do is, he's gonna bring these back when he gets approved by the Park Service for the windows, and you can do that administrative,
As long as they match
as
existing.
long as they match existing, basically. And they can demonstrate to you that they do match. Please.
Yep, that works.
Well, we're, from our standpoint, we're approving.
Okay.
So he's gonna.
We will include those elements we discussed. We'll make that modification.
We are fine with it. And
We discussed how it was going to be.
yes, you were gonna do the flush, what is it?
Granite, that's granite that
Flush
returns
ground,
back.
and then so that you would see that there is a break in the sidewalk, and it's gonna be the same material, the concrete all the way through.
Correct.
Correct.
Great.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, let's run on to the next piece then.
Morning. This application is far less stimulating.
Okay. We like the. So,
All right, our next case is COA 25-00181, Ward 96, Columbus Cruise Way, which is the home to the Columbus Cruise Office. The applicant is requesting a 5-year renewal for the adjacent site to the north to remain in use as a temporary parking lot. The applicant notes that they have maintained the site in good condition and intend to use it for its improved use, event, day parking, and a laying out area for ongoing construction at the stadium in Astor Park. The applicant was last before the commission in the October 2020 hearing, where the application for a temporary parking lot at the site was approved with the condition that the site was only to be used for a lot 5 years. The applicant is requesting a 5-year renewal of this condition. The applicant notes that it continues to be their intent to develop the site. The following variances related to the standard parking lots in the downtown district were requested as a part of the original approval and remain a part of the extension request. Those variances are to section 3312.29, parking space size. Applicant would reduce width of parking spaces from 9 feet to 8.5 feet. Section 3312.21, landscaping and screening. Applicant would not provide headlight screening with internal parking lot trees. Section 3321.03C, lighting. Applicant would provide temporary wooden poles for lighting and would not provide islands or solid bases for parking lot lighting. Submitted materials include a site plan, right-of-way revision details, temporary parking information, and existing conditions photos. The downtown design guidelines state that interior landscaping is encouraged where possible as a means of greening the downtown. And when adjacent to a public street, parking lots should be screened in the following manners. Either by a masonry wall between 3 and 4 feet in height, constructed of material that is compatible with adjacent buildings such as stone, brick, or veneer. Or a combination of masonry piers and decorative metal fencing between 3 and 4 feet in height, set within a 3-foot planting bed. In summary, the proposal does not meet the code required parking lot standards nor the guidelines regarding screening and interior landscaping. However, flexibility may be warranted due to the temporary nature of this proposal and the intended future development of the site. Here are the materials the applicant submitted. This is the site plan. You see the stadium here and that temporary parking lot just to the north. Here are the right-of-way details. It's just showing a gravel parking space. Here is the, they're just showing how the site is being used, so the staging and construction parking as part of that temporary parking lot. There's some additional information on that. And then here are the existing condition photos of the site. And we'll just have a work.
Okay, very good. Could you identify yourself directly, please?
Yes, Phil Dangerfield, Housing Sports Group.
Do you, could you raise your right hand? You swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Just catch yourself, fill us in.
Yeah, so I think Stephanie summarized it well. I'll add, and as you can note there with some of the bubbles and laydown areas, you know, since we opened the stadium, I think you all know we've, first of all, the parking garage has been completed by the city. We just recently opened the commercial building with 120,000 square feet of commercial space. And next month, we will start construction on residential block A, which surrounds the parking garage. That's about 260 units. That'll be done the end of next year. And then we anticipate beginning construction of B block site, which is an additional 200 units plus in early 2027.
Also
So-
adjacent to the parking lot structure.
That's right. So just north of the road there. You know, I think when we first came to you in October of 2020, we anticipated our timelines for those to be a bit quicker. You know, market conditions have dictated that we're here we are today. And as Stephanie noted, you know, we remain committed to developing the 6 acres north of the site that's currently, you know, a temporary parking lot.
We don't normally give more than 5 years for a temporary parking lot anyway. We always say, if you're not ready, come back, stay back.
Mhm.
And I don't see any problem. It's not like nothing's happened.
That's right. That's
I
right.
would say that it's a good summation of the situation. It is not like nothing was happening. Other thoughts or comments?
Supported.
Yeah, the other thing is I think we get a little wiggle room on this site because it's in the back that are out of the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's not a corner of Broad and Third. We're gonna let them have their own parking lot for another 5 years. And frankly, a lot of this use for this thing is literally construction. And so it's one of those things that you know, we like consistency, but this is one of those things that kind of makes sense. I think it helps get done what we all want to get done, which is more development. So,
That's right.
any other comments, Paul's?
I just wanted to ask you have the temporary light poles.
Yeah.
Are they still in pretty good shape? Like what is their lifespan usually?
We projected when we first put them up for, you know, 5 to 10 years. So we'll continue to maintain the site, whether it's the light poles or the grapple. We want to ensure that those continue to operate properly.
So you have next to the alley, those are permanent.
Those are permanent. That's right.
Any other questions, comments? Is there a pleasure of the group here, please?
Move approval for additional 5 years. Temporary permit.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
So the motion's on the floor. Anything from the audience, anyone? Any other comments, thoughts? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what else do we have?
We have two more cases. Two more actions. The next application is COA 270015 for 535 Beach Boulevard, which is located off of West Goodale Street, adjacent to the Reach on Goodale Apartments. The applicant is seeking commission approval to install 3 illuminated tower skyline signs at the building's north, east, and south elevations. The signs consist of internally illuminated plastic panel letters and logo. Staff notes that the craft body sign you can see on the north elevation is approved administratively by staff. Submitted materials include a site plan, sign detailed mounting information, renderings, and the zoning report. The downtown design guidelines state signage should not obscure significant architectural elements. The installation of a sign should be reversible and avoid permanent alterations and changes in historic building materials. The proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Staff encourages the applicant to reuse existing penetrations in the facade from previous signage for mounting the new signage where possible. This is the material submitted by the applicant. You can see the, this element we have the logo and superior, this is just superior, switch to the logo. Then this again is that craft body band that's not part of this application anymore. And then we just have the details for each sign for the letters, the mounting and the power.
I can't read that height. What was the height of the furniture? 31 inches.
31 and a quarter. Yep. Looks like for this one, they're generally 34 on the options that we have a little bigger. And then here you can see on the elevations of the building, there is existing signage in these locations now. There's with, here's the one with just the logo, and then here's the one with just the superior. Here we can take this from those signs as well. And then here's it just as a we can put it. And that's all.
Now that elevation there, it shows the background there, the sign is white. And when I'm looking at the drawing, it looks like, or the photo there, it looks like it's actually dark. That space, is that right? It's like the same colors as the building. See it up above where the sign is? So it's really mounted on a dark surface, is that right? I guess we should, I'm going to, could you identify yourself correctly, please?
Stanley W. Young III.
Okay, Stanley, are you with?
I'm with Branham Sign Company. Yes, sir.
Would you raise your right hand?
Yep.
Swear testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so say I do.
I do.
Fine. Okay, good. That answered my question. And that's the scale there?
Yes, sir, it is. The new drawings basically represent their new logo and their look. As the samples would indicate, the letters are all internally illuminated. They're flush mounted to the building. The superior letters are all white trim cap, white faces. The logo is the orange tone color. And again, everything's all flush mounted. They do occupy the 3rd and 4th floor of that building. So in different elevations, they would like a little bit of visibility from that site for their new logo and name branding.
Yeah, there we go. I was just going to ask you to fill through the elevations. So
That's existing.
get us back there.
Sorry.
Yeah, basically what they're doing is just updating their brand, their look, the logo's changed.
We just want to see where it
Yeah.
goes.
Sure. Mhm.
So that must be, that's a west, or east facing view, and is that a logo there to the left? Yeah.
Yes,
Does that get replaced with?
yes,
But it would be there, it'll be there?
yes,
Okay,
Like for like with new brand.
and how,
correct.
how large is that?
The logo on that elevation, let's see here.
Yeah, it's right there.
That would be a 66-inch tall logo.
We could take it off. Logo and the. Do you feel you have to patch anything?
Generally speaking, you do, because chances are your holes are not going to line up exactly.
That patching.
Yes, yes. Everything will be done to industry standards. Yeah,
Okay, so we're going to see we've got a south elevation that has just the logo. We have the east elevation that has the letters. And then whatever that northish. Okay, and that's over the entry. And those are two signs with the letters
correct.
and two logos, one in the front door here.
Right.
And then one just around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions from anybody?
I was wondering if you never originally or now you don't have anything on the west.
It's just not a good site for signage. It's not really all that visible from a driving and a pedestrian perspective.
Any other questions? Pleasure to approval. There's a motion to approve. A second then, okay. Other questions, comments? Anyone from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, the last case for today is COA 25-00167 for 81 South 4th Street. 81 South 4th Street is located at the northwest corner of State Street and 4th Street. The applicant is seeking commission approval to install a 9-foot tall by 2-foot wide, non-illuminating projecting sign. The sign is 37 feet and 7.5 inches from grade, therefore making the sign unable to be staff approved due to height. Submit a material with a site plan, sign details, mounting information in the zoning report. The downtown plan guidelines state that signage should not obscure significant architectural details. The installation of the sign should be reversible and avoid permanent alteration or damage historic building materials. The proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Here is what was submitted by our applicant. Of note, they did revise the drawings to mount the sign through the mortar coats rather than facing the brick. In this site plan showed where the sign will be located on the building, and then here is this one.
Okay, good morning. Could you identify yourself, Greg?
Yes, I'm Oliver Holtzberry with Day Night Sign Company.
You raise your right hand and swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So say I do.
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you very much. My only thing that jumps out at me, I'm fine with it, I'm in favor. This building's almost at the edge, getting a little busy here, so you have a lot of stuff on it here. Signage here, I have no problem with this. Anybody else have a thought, comment, question?
No. It doesn't seem like it's 9 feet up on that building there, but I believe you based on the perspective and whatnot, but I don't have any questions either. I think it looks fine.
Yeah, this makes it look shorter than what the windows are. This can't be 9-foot windows. It wasn't thick. Any other questions? This is internally lit.
It is non-illuminated. Yeah.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the group?
Approve it, submitted.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second, please?
Second.
There's a second. Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, you win.
All right, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Stephanie, anything else we want? Yeah, staff approvals, so everybody has a chance. Classic. Answer those questions, comments. Not going to need a motion to approve staff approvals. Okay, there's a motion, is there a second? Okay, there's a second. Other questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thanks, guys. Any issues, questions, comments for staff folks? Do you guys see anything we need to know about?
I have a question. The superior signage, did that have to come back to us because of the size and scale of it? Because it was so light for light. I mean, it only took 5 minutes. I'm not upset about it. I'm just curious.
I believe it was the hybrid grade is the reason that we couldn't staff it.
Got it. Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody got a question?
Same thing with this last.
Everybody doing well? Good. Well, spring, I made it anyway.
It's something up there.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much.
We get a motion for adjournment, please.
Okay, could we have a motion to adjourn?
So
We'll be an official for that. Second, we gotta make sure we got a second. Okay, let's get there. Any questions, comments?
Don't have to do that.
All those in favor? Okay, we're officially adjourned.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, good to see everybody.